Murderers like George Chapman were tricky to catch because poison was hard to detect at this time. In fact, so much so that arsenic had earned the nickname inheritance powder. Such was the problem. But the poison that George Chapman was using was something different, tartar emetic, which contained the equally deadly element antimony. 4 years before Maud was taken mysteriously ill, Chapman had bought an ounce of tartar emetic from a chemist in Hastings.
Tartar emetic was used for cough mixtures. It caused irritation of the throat, but it also caused vomiting. Antimony was a metal which was part of the mixture. Too much would cause the victim's death.
An ounce is about 450 grains. 12 grains would be enough for a fatal dose.
Poison was very easy. One could go to a shop, buy poison. You say you wanted it for the rats. Poison was used in all sorts of wallpaper, fly paper. So poison was very, very easily available.
An ounce would be enough to kill more than 40 people. It was certainly enough to kill Mary Spink and Bessie Taylor.
They were Chapman's previous wives, both of whom died from a mysterious illness just a couple of years after meeting him. Chapman had actually brought in a doctor to treat Bessie Taylor when she fell ill, but the doctor was unable to discover that the real cause of her illness was Chapman himself. In fact, the doctor was convinced that Chapman was in a genuine state of grief. When Maud Marsh fell ill, the same Dr. Stoker would be brought in.
Before in the summer, it was the same. She was on hospital. Doctors there have no clue. They say me, this is this.
But she did recover?
Yes.
Well then, you have my instructions.
You come tomorrow?
Yes, of course. Do not concern yourself too much, Mr. Chapman. She is young, and she is strong, and she has you to look after her. I'm not worried.
I can see him now, broken with distress, urging me to spare no trouble, no expense. I was there most days. I had no conception of what he was really doing.
What?
You haven't finished your water. There's a good girl. She's doing much better already.
Is that champagne?
It's for stomach.
George, come on, don't waste the champagne.
Why is these customers drinking it? When you're like this? No. You're needing more water. We will fetch. Drink.
Told you about him.
You'll be right as rain. I know it.
George Chapman had a very clear and despicable modus operandi. He seemingly enjoyed watching the suffering of a slow death by poisoning. A local chap walked into the Crown pub when he was a boy and was served a glass of water by the owner. That boy was to become the world-famous Charlie Chaplin, and he wrote about the incident in his autobiography in 1964. As a boy, I stopped at a saloon in London Bridge Road and asked for a glass of water. A bluff, amiable gentleman with a dark moustache served me. For some reason, I could not drink the water. I pretended to, but as soon as the man turned to talk to a customer, I put the glass down and left. 2 weeks later, George Chapman, proprietor of the Crown Public House in the London Bridge Road, was charged with murdering 5 wives by poisoning them with strychnine. His latest victim was dying in a room above the saloon the day he gave me the glass of water. Well, Charlie Chaplin clearly got a few details wrong there, but what he was right about is that while he was standing in that pub, Maud Marsh was dying in the room above his head.
She couldn't keep anything down. I had all her favourites made. Roast pork and potatoes and... You're supposed to make everything right for your child.
For many years, George Chapman seemed untouchable. His devious work as a poisoner had gone undetected. Now, another victim, Maud Marsh, was bedridden and close to death. How much more harm and misery would he inflict before he would be eventually brought to justice? In the Down-at-Heel area of Borough High Street during the reign of Jack the Ripper, a poisoner was also at work. George Chapman had already killed 2 wives and was now working towards the murder of another, Maud Marsh. Thankfully, it would only be a matter of time before suspicions finally started to form around him.
Mrs. Marsh?
You did this?
What?
Maud said you liked photography.
Yes, I make photographs here. I mix chemicals. Keep it.
It's the not even knowing, George. Can't we get a second opinion?
Dr. Stoker, he is a very good man.
Yes.
And I think if one doctor cannot help, even 50 will not.
George, we have to try.
Chapman couldn't evade suspicion for much longer. Maud's mother, although still unaware of what he was doing, was growing more and more wary. But the fact that his hobby was photography seemed to allay her misgivings. This new technology would also be used by the Metropolitan Police at the time.
Chapman was an amateur photographer, which would have been quite unusual for those days. The police had started using photography. They used sort of professional photographers for things like identifying bodies that had been found, it did start to become more and more used by the police, particularly on scenes of crime, and particularly in sort of identifying criminals. They photographed some of the victims in the Whitechapel murders, so we're talking about 1889, that sort of period.